My name's Rachel Donnelly, and the first time my ex-husband called me trailer trash in front of his new wife, I was just 3 months away from making lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army. I was 40 years old, standing in the parking lot of a Chili's in Fort Worth, Texas, watching him introduce his fiancée to our daughter. Emma was 16, all long limbs, perfect hair, and that blend of pity and embarrassment only a teenager can pull off. Nathan smiled like a politician, hand resting on her shoulder as he told Julia, "Loretta came from nothing, you know? Tried her best, but didn't really have the background for success." Then, as if to soften the cruelty, he added, "But hey, she's doing okay for someone who grew up in a trailer park." Julia, blonde, polished, 28, a marketing grad from SMU, gave me that kind of smile rich people reserve for charity cases. I smiled back, said nothing, took Emma's hand, and led her to my car. "Mom," she said quietly as we drove away, "why don't you ever defend yourself?" "Because," I told her, keeping my voice steady, "some things don't need defending." She didn't get it. How could she? She'd grown up in Nathan's world, private schools, gated neighborhoods, country club pools. She didn't know mine. Nathan made sure she never forgot he'd rescued me from it. Truth was, I had grown up in a trailer park, Paradise Mobile Home Community, Abilene, Texas. My mom cleaned houses. My dad took off when I was 4. I wore second-hand clothes, ate free lunches, and learned early that people looked at you differently when your address had a lot number in it. But I was smart. Not a prodigy, just sharp enough to know education was my way out. I worked weekends at a grocery store, earned straight A's, and hunted scholarships like my life depended on it, because it did. I landed a full ride to Texas Tech, the first in my family to ever go to college. Then came Nathan, pre-med, Dallas-born, country club royalty. His family had portraits in their hallway and silver spoons on their walls. He said I was refreshingly real. I thought he was my way into a better life. We married when I was 22. I dropped out to support him through med school, answering phones at a law firm while he chased his dream. Emma came along when I was 24. By the time Nathan finished his residency, I'd been stuck in admin jobs for 6 years, 29 years old, an unfinished degree, and a husband who'd begun looking at me like his mother did, like I was something he'd outgrown. The divorce was brutal. He got the house, custody, and the stable environment. I got every other weekend and a child support check that barely covered Emma's tuition. His lawyer made sure to mention, repeatedly, my limited education and lack of career trajectory. So I signed the papers, took my settlement, and did something that shocked everyone, including me. I joined the Army. 30 years old, starting from scratch. Most people thought I was crazy. But the Army didn't care where I came from, or that I dropped out. They cared if I could perform, and I could. I crushed officer candidate school, commissioned as a second lieutenant, and dove into logistics. Supply chains, transport, resource management, making sure the troops had what they needed, when they needed it. Turns out, I was damn good at it. I understood systems. I understood people. I knew how to make something out of nothing. 2 years later, I was first lieutenant. By 35, captain. By 38, major. And through it all, Nathan had no clue what any of that meant. He thought Army just meant I was some kind of clerk pushing paper. I tried explaining once the difference between enlisted and officer, between a major and a private. His eyes glazed over. "It's all very military," he said. "Good for you, though. Steady paycheck." Emma knew, at least superficially. She saw me in uniform, but her life was anchored in Nathan's world, medical dinners, ski trips, BMWs. By 14, she'd started looking at me with that mix of affection and embarrassment. Not contempt, not yet, but pity, almost. Nathan fed it subtly. "Your mom's doing her own thing," he'd say. "We'll cover the real expenses." Or, "Your mom wouldn't understand this kind of restaurant." He remarried when Emma was 15. Julia, young, polished, everything I wasn't. She called Emma our daughter on Instagram. I told myself I didn't care. I had my career. I had my dignity. But it stung, every eye roll when I pulled up in my old Honda, every comparison between my apartment and Nathan's house. Every time he smirked and reminded the world what class looked like. Still, I kept moving forward. Then last November, everything shifted. It was a Tuesday morning when the email came, promotion board results. My hand shook as I opened it. Selected for Lieutenant Colonel. 05. Senior Field Grade Officer. Command level leadership. I sat in my office at Fort Hood and cried, not out of surprise, but pride. The girl from Lot 47 in Paradise Mobile Home Community had made Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Army. The ceremony was set for January, 3 months away. I called Emma right after. "That's cool, Mom," she said, distracted. "Hey, can I call you back? We're about to eat." She didn't. I thought about calling Nathan, explaining what the rank meant, the weight of it, the authority, the respect, but after 10 years of trying to make him understand, I was done explaining. When the day came, my mother was the only family there. She drove 6 hours from Abilene, sat in the front row of the chapel in her best dress, and cried through the whole thing. Nathan didn't come. Emma didn't either. She had a thing with Julia, dress shopping for some hospital gala. "Can't you reschedule?" I'd asked. "Mom, it's just a work thing," she'd said. "You've had promotions before. This one's different." "I'll try." She didn't. But when my battalion commander pinned those silver oak leaves to my uniform, none of that mattered. I gave a short speech. I grew up in a trailer park, I told the room. My mother cleaned houses. I wore second-hand clothes. People made fun of me for how I talked and where I came from. I joined the army for a paycheck. I didn't know what I was doing, I just knew I needed to do something. I paused, looked at the faces before me. 10 years later, I'm standing here as a lieutenant colonel. And I want everyone to know, where you start doesn't decide where you finish. The only person who defines your worth is you. The applause was thunderous. Afterward, my commander pulled me aside. "Thornton, we're deploying to Kuwait in March. I want you as my XO. Executive officer. Second in command of a battalion, 800 soldiers." I didn't hesitate. "Yes, sir." I didn't tell Nathan. Didn't tell Emma right away either. Then in February, Emma's school held a career day. She'd asked her dad, he couldn't. Julia was too busy. Finally, she called me. What would I even say? That my mom's in the army? "You could say that," I said. "Or you could say your mom's a lieutenant colonel about to deploy as executive officer of a battalion." Silence. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm second in command of over 800 soldiers. It means I manage logistics operations that keep people alive. It means responsibility, real responsibility." Another pause. Then quietly, "Oh. I didn't know you did all that." "I do," I said. She was quiet again, softer. "Would you come, then? To career day?" "I'll be there." So I showed up in my dress blues, dark jacket, silver oak leaves on the shoulders, rows of ribbons and medals across my chest. When Emma saw me, her jaw dropped. "Mom, you look professional?" I offered. "Important," she said. I smiled. I spoke about leadership, logistics, command, about making sure soldiers got what they needed, about serving with purpose. The kids asked thoughtful questions. When I finished, her teacher shook my hand. "Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Thornton. Emma must be so proud." Emma nodded. "I am," she said quietly. And for the first time, I believed her. That weekend, she skipped her dad's house and stayed with me. "I want to hear more," she said. "About what you do." So I told her, about OCS, about Afghanistan, about earning every rank I'd worn. I told her about making captain, then major, and now lieutenant colonel. About my upcoming deployment, just 3 weeks away. "Why didn't you tell me all this before?" she asked. "I tried," I said gently. "But you weren't interested. And your dad didn't think it mattered." "He doesn't know, does he? About your rank?" "No," I said. "Can I tell him?" "If you want to." She must have, because a week later Nathan called. Emma says you're a lieutenant colonel, he said, no greeting. Yes. Since when? January. And you're deploying? In 2 weeks. To Kuwait. Long silence. I didn't realize, he said finally. I thought you were just, I don't know, enlisted. A clerk or something. I'm an officer, I said evenly. I've been one since I was 30. I've deployed twice. I've briefed generals. I've earned every rank I wear. More silence. Then, quietly, I didn't know. I know. A few days later, he called again. Emma wants to have dinner, all of us. Me, Julia, her, you. Before you leave. Okay. We met at a nice place this time, not Chili's, but white tablecloths, wine glasses. I wore my uniform, Emma had asked me to. Nathan stood when I walked in, eyes wide. Jesus, Loretta. Hi, Nathan. Julia. Julia stared at my insignia, the ribbons, the medals. You're really a lieutenant colonel? Yes, I said. And you're deploying? In 10 days. Emma came a few minutes later, ran into my arms. You look amazing, Mom. Dinner started awkward but softened as the night went on. Then Nathan cleared his throat. I owe you an apology. I looked up. I've spent 10 years underestimating you, he said. Dismissing what you do. Making you feel small. I told myself it was because you didn't finish college, because you came from nothing, but the truth is, I was the one who wasn't enough. You built something from scratch. You earned respect. You became someone extraordinary, and I was too busy looking down on you to notice. Julia said nothing. Emma watched me closely. I forgive you, I said simply. Just like that? Nathan asked, stunned. Just like that, I said. Because I don't need your approval anymore. I already know my worth. He nodded, voice thick. Emma's lucky to have you. I know, I said. He paid the bill. Outside, in the parking lot, he stopped me. When you get back, from Kuwait, can we try again? Co-parenting, I mean. For real this time. Respectfully. I'd like that, I said. 3 weeks later, I deployed. Emma cried at the airport. Nathan was there too. Be safe, he said. Please. I will. Then, softer, Loretta, thank you. For everything you do, for Emma, for this country. And for proving me wrong. I smiled. You're welcome. Now I'm in Kuwait, 4 months into the deployment, serving as executive officer of a battalion, overseeing logistics across 3 countries, briefing colonels and generals, making decisions that affect hundreds of lives. Emma emails me every day. She's researching ROTC programs now. Nathan sends care packages, small apologies wrapped in bubble wrap and tape. And my mother, my fierce, humble mother, still keeps every newspaper clipping she can find about my unit. She called last week, voice trembling. I'm so proud of you. I know, Mama, I said softly. I know. I'm 40. I grew up in a trailer park. And now, I command soldiers in combat zones. The people who said I'd never amount to anything, they were wrong. Not because I proved them wrong, but because I stopped letting them define me. I define myself. And that, I've learned, is the only victory that truly matters.